The church bells tolled ominously as Cyril Thompson stood at the altar, his hands clasped tightly in front of him, watching his son Jamie exchange vows with his bride, Sarah. But in the pews, whispers sliced through the air like knives, judgmental eyes from Sarah's affluent family boring into Cyril's back, their disdain palpable for the poor gay father who had raised Jamie alone. Little did they know, as Cyril fought back tears of pride and pain, that the man they pitted was harboring a secret fortune of $100 million, built from years of quiet ingenuity, ready to shatter their worldviews at the reception. Cyril had always been the outsider in Maplewood, a quaint suburb outside Chicago where picket fences hid prejudices as old as the oaks lining the streets. At 48, with salt and pepper hair and a weary smile that masked depths of resilience, he worked as a part-time mechanic, fixing cars in a greasy garage that barely paid the bills. His life revolved around Jamie, the boy he'd adopted as a single gay man after coming out in his 30s, leaving behind a loveless marriage and a corporate job that had nearly broken him. The adoption process had been a battlefield, courtrooms filled with skeptical judges questioning if a gay man could provide a stable home. But Cyril had fought tooth and nail, proving his worth through sheer determination. Now, watching Jamie, 25 and beaming in his tuxedo, Cyril felt a swell of emotion that threatened to overwhelm him. Pride mixed with the sting of isolation. Sarah's family, the Harringtons, had made it clear from the start that he didn't belong in their polished world. The Harringtons were old money. Sarah's father, Robert, a real estate mogul with properties spanning the Midwest, and her mother, Evelyn, a socialite who chaired charity galas but turned her nose up at anyone below their tax bracket. From the moment Jamie introduced Sarah 3 years ago, the slights began. At family dinners, Robert would grill Cyril about his lifestyle choices, his voice dripping with condescension. Raising a boy without a mother figure must have been tough, he'd say, implying failure. Evelyn was subtler, her smiles never reaching her eyes as she commented on Cyril's modest apartment. How charmingly simple. And then there was Ben, Cyril's partner of 5 years, a quiet librarian who stood by him through it all. The Harringtons barely acknowledged Ben, treating him like an awkward footnote in Cyril's already unconventional life. But Cyril's poverty was a carefully constructed facade. In his 20s, fresh out of college with a degree in engineering, he'd invented a revolutionary software algorithm for energy efficiency in buildings. He sold the patent to a tech giant for millions, but instead of flaunting the wealth, he invested it wisely: stocks, real estate under anonymous LLCs, growing it into a 9-figure empire. Why hide it? Trauma from his youth, when his own wealthy parents disowned him upon learning he was gay, teaching him that money bred entitlement and division. He wanted Jamie to grow up grounded, valuing hard work over handouts. Money changes people, Cyril often told Ben in their quiet evenings together. I won't let it change us. As the ceremony ended and guests filed out to the lavish reception at the Harrington estate, Cyril felt the weight of unspoken tensions. Jamie pulled him aside in the vestibule, his eyes searching. Dad, you okay? I know they're difficult. Cyril forced a smile, hugging his son tightly. I'm fine, kiddo. This is your day. But inside, doubts churned. Had he shielded Jamie too well? The boy knew nothing of the fortune. Cyril had planned to reveal it on his 30th birthday, a safety net for the future. Yet, with the Harringtons' barbs escalating, Robert had even suggested Jamie change his last name to Harrington post-wedding. Cyril wondered if the time had come sooner. At the reception, under crystal chandeliers in the sprawling ballroom, the divisions sharpened. Ben sat beside Cyril at a table far from the head, their hands intertwined under the cloth for comfort. Sarah's uncle, a boisterous banker named Harlan, leaned over during appetizers. So, Cyril still tinkering with those old cars? Must be humbling after, well, everything. The implication hung. After being gay, after being poor. Cyril swallowed his retort, nodding politely. It keeps me honest. Ben squeezed his hand, his brown eyes filled with quiet fury. Later, as toasts began, Robert stood, glass raised. To Jamie and Sarah, may your life be filled with prosperity and tradition. The word tradition landed like a slap, excluding Ciro's non-traditional family. Whispers grew louder as the night wore on. Evelyn pulled Sarah aside, her voice carrying, "I just worry about the influence on future grandchildren." Ciro overheard, his chest tightening. He excused himself to the garden, where Ben found him pacing under the stars. "They're ignorant, Ciro. Don't let them get to you." But Ciro's mind raced. Memories of his parents' rejection, the loneliness of building wealth in secret. "Maybe it's time they knew," he murmured. Ben's face softened. "Only if you're ready." Their kiss in the shadows was tender, a reminder of the love that had sustained him. Back inside, the cake cutting brought more drama. Jamie, sensing the undercurrents, made an impromptu toast. "To my dad, who taught me love knows no bounds." The room fell silent. Robert's smile was strained. As dancing commenced, Harlan cornered Ciro again. "Ever think about what Jamie missed out on? A real family structure." The words ignited something in Ciro. He straightened, his voice steady. "Jamie has more love than your money could buy." Harlan laughed dismissively, but Ciro's resolve hardened. The night was far from over, and secrets were bubbling to the surface. The tension simmered like a pot about to boil over as the reception dragged into the evening hours. Ciro watched from the sidelines as Jamie and Sarah twirled on the dance floor, their laughter a stark contrast to the judgmental glances thrown his way. Ben, ever the steady presence, whispered encouragements, but Ciro's mind was a whirlwind of past hurts and present indignities. How had it come to this? Years of sacrifice, only to be reduced to a punchline at his son's wedding. Flashbacks haunted him in quiet moments. Growing up in a gilded cage in New York, Ciro had been the golden child, top grades, captain of the debate team, until he confided in his parents about his sexuality at 18. Their reaction was swift and brutal. Disinheritance, expulsion from the family home. "We won't have that in our bloodline," his father had snarled. Ciro couch-surfed through college, scraping by on scholarships and odd jobs, vowing never to let wealth define him again. The invention came later, a stroke of genius born from necessity while working on energy projects. The payout was life-changing, but he funneled it into anonymous investments, living modestly to honor the man he'd become without privilege. Jamie, adopted at age 5 from a foster system that had chewed him up, became Ciro's anchor. The boy had questions over the years, about his absent mother, about why Dad dated men, but Ciro answered honestly, fostering an environment of acceptance. Ben entered their lives when Jamie was 20, a chance meeting at the local library where Ben curated LGBTQ plus literature sections. Their relationship blossomed slowly, built on shared vulnerabilities. Ben had lost his partner to illness years before. "You're my second chance," Ben often said, his voice thick with emotion. Together, they navigated societal hurdles, subtle discrimination at PTA meetings, stares in grocery stores, but their bond grew unbreakable. Now, at the wedding, those hurdles felt like mountains. Sarah, to her credit, had always been kind, defending Ciro to her family. But even she seemed strained tonight, caught between loyalties. During a break in the music, she approached Ciro at the bar. "I'm sorry about them, Ciro. They don't understand." Her eyes were sincere, but Ciro waved it off. "It's not your fault, sweetheart." Deep down, though, resentment brewed. Why should he apologize for existing? The turning point came during the father-son dance, a tradition Jamie insisted on, adapting it to include Ciro. As they swayed to a slow ballad, Jamie leaned in. "Dad, I know things are tight. Sarah and I want to help with your rent." The offer, meant kindly, stung like salt in a wound. Ciro pulled back slightly. "We're fine, son. Really." But Jamie pressed. "Come on, Dad. You've given me everything. Let me give back." The vulnerability in Jamie's voice cracked Ciro's facade. How could he explain the hidden accounts, the properties in his name? As the dance ended, Robert intercepted them, clapping Jamie on the back. "Great moves, boy. Now, about that honeymoon fund. I've added a little extra." The implication. Ciro couldn't contribute. Ben, overhearing from nearby, tensed. Later, in a heated sidebar with Evelyn, She let slip her true colors. It's just unconventional. What will people say? Ciro, eavesdropping unintentionally, felt a surge of anger. He confronted her privately in the hallway. People will say Jamie has a father who loves him unconditionally. Isn't that enough? Evelyn's response was cutting. Love doesn't pay bills, Ciro, or provide stability. The words echoed his parents' rejection, fueling a fire within. Ben pulled him away before things escalated, their hands linking in solidarity. She's wrong, Ben murmured, but doubt crept in. Had hiding the money robbed Jamie of opportunities? Ciro had funded scholarships anonymously, even donated to LGBTQ+ causes, but personally, he'd remained poor to teach humility. The night deepened with more revelations. Harlan, emboldened by wine, made a toast that veered into controversy. To traditional families, may they endure. Guests murmured uncomfortably. Jamie's face flushed with embarrassment. Sarah shot her uncle a glare, but the damage was done. Ciro excused himself again, stepping onto the terrace where cool air cleared his head. Ben joined him, wrapping arms around his waist. We don't need their approval, Ben said softly. Their embrace was a quiet rebellion, but Ciro's mind raced toward decision. The secret couldn't stay buried forever. As midnight approached, Jamie gathered everyone for speeches. Robert went first, praising Sarah's upbringing and subtly shading Ciro's. Jamie's come so far, despite the odds. The odds being Ciro's identity and finances. When it was Ciro's turn, he stood, heart pounding. Jamie, you've made me prouder than words can say. And to the Harringtons, thank you for welcoming us. But his tone held an edge, hinting at storms to come. The room sensed it, an undercurrent of anticipation building. Midnight struck like a harbinger, the chimes echoing through the Harrington mansion as guests milled about, their conversations laced with the evening's accumulated tensions. Ciro returned to his seat, Ben's hand a lifeline amid the sea of judgmental faces. The weight of his secret pressed heavier now, a double-edged sword that could either liberate or destroy the fragile peace. How ironic, he thought, that the man they scorned held more wealth than their entire lineage combined. The origins of Ciro's fortune ran deeper than a single invention. After the patent sale, he'd diversified tech startups, green energy ventures, all managed through a network of discreet advisors. His portfolio included shares in companies revolutionizing sustainable living, a quiet nod to his engineering roots. But the real growth came from real estate. Apartment complexes in underserved neighborhoods, renovated to provide affordable housing. Anonymity was key. He didn't want acclaim or exploitation. It's not about me, he'd tell Ben during late-night discussions. It's about making a difference without the spotlight. Ben, with his own history of modest means, understood. Their relationship thrived on equality, not extravagance. Simple dates at diners, weekends volunteering at shelters. Yet, the Harringtons' elitism chipped away at that foundation. Post-speeches, Evelyn cornered Sarah in the powder room, her voice carrying through the door. I hope Jamie realizes what he's marrying into. That father's influence could taint everything. Ciro, passing by, froze. The words ignited memories of his own disownment, the pain still raw after decades. He burst in, composure cracking. Taint? My love for Jamie is the purest thing he has. Evelyn gasped, hand to chest. This is a private conversation. But Ciro stood firm. Not when it involves my family. Word spread quickly. Guests buzzed about the confrontation. Robert pulled Ciro aside in the study, his face reddened. You're causing a scene at my daughter's wedding. Ciro met his gaze evenly. Your family started it with the constant digs. The exchange escalated, Robert defending traditional values, Ciro countering with stories of discrimination. You think being gay makes me less of a parent? I've given Jamie stability you couldn't imagine. Robert scoffed. Stability? Living paycheck to paycheck. The hypocrisy burned. Ciro nearly revealed everything then, but held back for Jamie's sake. Ben intervened, diffusing the standoff. Outside, under the moonlit gazebo, he held Ciro close. You're stronger than them. Their kiss was fervent, born of shared adversity. But doubts lingered. Was hiding the money a mistake? Jamie had thrived. College on scholarship Ciro secretly funded. A career in graphic design. But the Harringtons painted Ciro as a burden. The drama peaked when Harlan, drunk and belligerent, approached the couple during dessert. "So, you two, how does that work with a kid around?" The question was invasive, laced with homophobia. Guests nearby shifted uncomfortably. Jamie overheard, storming over. "Uncle Harlan, that's enough." The room hushed. Sarah joined, her voice trembling. "This is our wedding. Respect my family." Harlan muttered apologies, but the rift widened. Evelyn wept dramatically, claiming misunderstandings, while Robert fumed. In the aftermath, Jamie pulled Ciro and Ben into a quiet room. "Dad, what's going on?" "They've been awful." Tears welled in Jamie's eyes. Guilt for not intervening sooner. Ciro hugged him. "It's not your fault, son. Society's still catching up." But internally, resolve formed. The secret would end tonight, not in anger, but in truth. As the party wound down, guests departed with whispers of the family drama. Sarah's cousin, a progressive millennial, approached Ciro sympathetically. "Ignore them. You're an inspiration." It was a rare kindness bolstering him. Back at the table, Ben sensed the shift. "You're going to tell them, aren't you?" Ciro nodded. "For us. For Jamie." The final act unfolded at the farewell circle. Robert, ever the patriarch, announced a generous gift to the newlyweds, a trust fund. Smugness radiated. Jamie thanked him politely, but glanced at Ciro with unease. Seizing the moment, Ciro stood. "I have a gift too." Murmurs rippled. He pulled out his phone, displaying a bank app, balances in the millions. "Jamie, this is yours. All of it." Gasps echoed. Robert's face paled. "What is this?" Ciro explained calmly. "The invention, the investments, the hidden life. I've been poor by choice. To teach values money can't buy." Chaos ensued. Evelyn accused fakery. Harlan demanded proof. Jamie stared in shock. "Dad, why hide it?" Ciro's voice cracked. "To protect you from what it did to me." Ben stood by him, proud. The revelation shattered illusions, forcing confrontations. Robert stammered apologies, but Ciro waved them off. "It's not about forgiveness. It's about acceptance." The revelation hung in the air like smoke after a firework. The ballroom now a stage for raw emotions as guests lingered, drawn by the spectacle. Ciro's phone passed around, screens glowing with irrefutable evidence of his wealth. Stock portfolios, property deeds, all under pseudonyms. Jamie's hands trembled as he scrolled. His world upended. "All this time, you let us struggle?" Hurt laced his words, a son's betrayal mingling with awe. Sarah wrapped an arm around Jamie, her eyes wide. "Ciro, this changes everything." But Ciro shook his head. "It shouldn't. Money doesn't define us." The Harringtons reeled. Robert's empire, once towering, now seemed dwarfed. Evelyn dabbed at tears, murmuring about deception. Harlan, sobering quickly, backpedaled. "Well, congratulations?" The hypocrisy was glaring, their scorn based on assumptions now crumbling. Flashbacks surged for Ciro. The day he signed the patent deal, alone in a sterile office, vowing secrecy. Ben had been his confidant from the start, the only one who knew. "You've built an empire with heart," Ben had said then. Now, in the chaos, Ben's support was unwavering. His hand on Ciro's shoulder a silent affirmation of their love. Guests whispered, some admiring, others skeptical. "How could he hide that?" one said. "For his son," another replied. The divide highlighted societal fractures. Wealth worship versus authenticity. Jamie pulled Ciro aside to the terrace, emotions boiling. "Dad, I get why, but it hurts. We could have had easier lives." Ciro's eyes misted. "Easier isn't always better. Look at you, strong, compassionate. That's my real legacy." Jamie nodded slowly, hugging him fiercely. "I love you, Dad, no matter what." The moment mended something broken, but questions lingered. Sarah joined them, grateful. "Thank you, Ciro, for everything." Her acceptance felt genuine, a bridge forming. Back inside, Robert approached, ego bruised but curiosity piqued. "How did you do it? Build all that quietly?" Ciro shared snippets, the invention's origin in necessity, investments in ethical causes. "It's not just money, it's impact." Robert listened, perhaps for the first time, humility cracking his facade. Evelyn hovered, conflicted. "We misjudged you," she admitted softly. Ciro met her gaze. "Misjudged my worth based on labels. Gay, poor, those don't define capability." The conversation sparked debates among guests. Was Ciro's secrecy noble or manipulative? One group argued it taught humility. Another called it paternalistic. Harlan, trying to save face, joked, "Guess I owe you a beer, Ciro." But the levity fell flat. Ben, sensing Ciro's exhaustion, suggested leaving. "We've said enough." Their departure was poignant. Hugs from Jamie and Sarah. Promises of future talks. In the car ride home, silence enveloped them at first. Ben broke it. "You did the right thing." Ciro sighed. "Did I? It caused so much pain." Ben squeezed his knee. Pain leads to growth. Reflections on their relationship surfaced. How Ben's patience had healed Ciro's wounds from rejection. "You're my rock," Ciro said, voice thick. Ben smiled. "And you're mine." The next days brought fallout. Jamie called, processing. "I'm proud, Dad, but overwhelmed." Media caught wind somehow. A leaked story painted Ciro as a secret millionaire gay dad, sparking online buzz. Supporters praised his humility. Critics decried the deception. Social media debates raged. Is hiding wealth from family ethical? Ciro avoided it, focusing on mending bonds. A family meeting ensued at Ciro's apartment, now revealed as one of many properties. Robert and Evelyn attended, awkward but earnest. "We apologize," Robert said. "Our prejudices blinded us." Evelyn added, "We want to learn." Ciro accepted, but set boundaries. "Respect Ben and me as equals." The dialogue was tense, emotions raw, tears, admissions of bias. Jamie mediated, his growth evident. Ben and Ciro's bond deepened amid the turmoil. Evenings were spent discussing futures, perhaps traveling, philanthropy together. "No more secrets," Ciro promised. Ben laughed. "Deal." Their love, once shadowed, now shone brighter. As weeks passed, the wedding's drama faded into lessons. Jamie and Sarah honeymooned with Ciro's gift, returning grateful. Society's conflicts persisted, but personal victories emerged. Ciro donated publicly to LGBTQ+ causes, inspiring others. Yet, questions remained. Had the revelation healed or highlighted divides? Months after the wedding bombshell, life in Maplewood settled into a new normal, though the ripples of that night continued to shape relationships and self-perceptions. Ciro's revelation had not only upended assumptions but forced introspections across the board. Jamie, now navigating married life with Sarah, visited often, their conversations delving deeper than ever before. "I understand now, Dad," Jamie said one afternoon over coffee in Ciro's modest kitchen. "The